an interesting story, Joseph. But I don't understand why you're telling it to me now. I mean, your cafe just burned down. Is that so? He said. Then we laughed as I shook my head in resignation. Joseph, you're as crazy as Socrates. Why, thank you, Dan, and you're upset enough for both of us. Don't worry about me, though. I've been ready for a change. I'll probably move south soon, or north. It makes no difference. Well, don't go without saying goodbye. Goodbye, then, he said, giving me one of his hugs that left me glowing. I'll be leaving tomorrow. Are you going to say goodbye to Socrates? He laughed, replying, Socrates and rarely say hello or goodbye. You'll understand later. With that, we parted. It was the last time I would ever see Joseph. About 3 a.m. Friday morning I passed the clock at Shattuck Center on my way to the gas station. I was more aware than ever of how much I still had to learn. I stepped into the office already talking. Socrates, Joseph's cafe burned down tonight. Strange, he said, cafe usually burn up. He was making jokes. Anyone hurt? He asked, without apparent concern. Not that I know of. Did you hear me? Aren't you even a little upset? Was Joseph upset when you spoke with him? Well, no. All right, then. And that topic was simply closed. Then, to my amazement, Socrates took out a pack of cigarettes and lit one. Speaking of smoke, he said, did I ever mention to you that there's no such thing as a bad habit? I couldn't believe my eyes or my ears. This isn't happening, I told myself. No, you didn't, and I've gone to great lengths on your recommendation to change my bad habits. Oh, that was to develop your will, you see, and to give your instincts a refresher course. And we can say that habit itself, any unconscious, compulsive ritual, is negative. But specific activities, smoking, drinking, taking drugs, eating sweets, or asking silly questions are bad and good. Every action has its price, and its pleasures. Recognizing both sides, you become realistic and responsible for your actions. And only then can you make the warrior's free choice, to do or not to do. There is a saying, when you sit, sit. When you stand, stand. Whatever you do, don't you wobble. Once you make your choice, do it with all your spirit. Don't be like the evangelist that thought about praying while making love to his wife and making love to his wife while praying. I laughed at this image, while Socrates blew perfect smoke rings. It's better to make a mistake with the full force of your being than to carefully avoid mistakes with a trembling spirit. Responsibility means recognizing both pleasure and price, making a choice based on that recognition, and then living with that choice without concern. It sounds so other raw. How about moderation? Moderation? He leaped up on the desk, like an evangelist. Moderation? It's mediocrity, fear, and confusion in disguise. It's the devil's reasonable deception. It's the wobbling compromise that makes no one happy. Moderation is for the bland, the apologetic, for the fence-sitters of the world afraid to take a stand. It's for those afraid to laugh or cry, for those afraid to live or die. Moderation. He took a deep breath, getting ready for his final condemnation at his lukewarm tea, the devil's own brew. Laughing, said, your sermons come in like a lion, and go out like a lamb, Sock. You'll have to keep practicing. He shrugged his shoulders, climbing down from the desk. They always told me that in the seminary. I didn't know whether he was kidding or not. Sock, I still think smoking is disgusting. Haven't I got the message across to you yet? Smoking is not disgusting, the habit is. I may smoke one cigarette a day, then not smoke again for 6 months. I may enjoy one cigarette a day, or one a week, without any unmanageable urges to have another. And when I do smoke, I don't pretend that my lungs won't pay a price. I follow appropriate action afterward, to help counterbalance the negative effects. I just never imagined a warrior would smoke. He blew smoke rings at my nose. I never said that a warrior behaved in a way that you considered perfect, nor do warriors act exactly as I do. But we all follow the house rules, you see. So whether or not my behavior meets your new standards or not, it should be clear to you that I have mastered all compulsions, all behavior. I have no habits. My actions are conscious, intentional, and complete. Socrates put out his cigarette, smiling at me. You've become too stuffy, with all your pride and superior discipline. It's time we did a little celebrating." Then Socrates pulled out a bottle of gin from his desk. I just sat in disbelief, shaking my head. He mixed me a drink with gin and soda pop. "Soda pop?" I asked. "We only have fruit juice here, and don't call me Pop," he said, reminding me of the words he'd spoken to me so long ago. Now here he was, offering me a gin and ginger ale, drinking his straight. "So," he said, drinking the gin quickly, "time to party, no holds barred. I like your enthusiasm, Sock, but I have a hard workout on Monday. Get your coat, Sonny, and follow me." I did. The only thing I remember clearly is that it was Saturday night in San Francisco. We started early, and never stopped moving. The evening was a blur of lights, tinkling glasses, and laughter. I do remember Sunday morning. It was about 5 o'clock. My head was throbbing. We were walking down Mission, crossing 4th Street. I could barely see the street signs through the thick early morning fog that had rolled in. Suddenly, Sock stopped and stared into the fog. I stumbled into him, giggled, then woke up quickly. Something was wrong. A large dark shape emerged from the mist. The half-forgotten dream flashed into my mind, but vanished as I saw another shape, then a third. 3 men. 2 of them, tall, lean, tense, blocked our way. The third approached us, and drew a stiletto from his worn leather jacket. I felt my pulse pounding through my temples. "Give me your money," he commanded. Not thinking clearly, I stepped toward him, reaching for my wallet, and stumbled forward. He was startled and rushed toward me, slashing with his knife. Socrates, moving faster than I'd ever seen before, caught the man's wrist, whirled around and threw him into the street, just as another thug lunged for me. He never touched me. Socrates had kicked his legs out from under him with a lightning leg sweep. Before the third attack could even move, Sock was upon him, taking him down with a wrist lock and a sweeping motion of his arm. He sat down on the man and said, "Don't you think you ought to consider non-violence?" One of the men started to get up when Socrates let out a powerful shout and the man fell backward. By then the leader had picked himself out of the street, found his knife, and was limping furiously towards Socrates. Socrates stood up, lifted the man he'd been sitting on, and threw him toward the knife man, yelling "Catch!" They tumbled to the concrete. Then, in a wild rage, all 3 came screaming at us in a last desperate assault. The next few minutes were blurred. I remember being pushed by Socrates and falling. Then it was quiet, except for a moan. Socrates stood still, then shook his arms loose, and took a deep breath. He threw the knives into the sewer. Then he turned to me. "You okay? Except for my head. You get hit. Only by alcohol. What happened?" He turned to the 3 men, stretched out on the pavement, knelt, and felt their pulses. Turning them over, almost tenderly, he gave gentle prodding motions, checking them for injuries. Only then did I realize he was doing his best to heal them. "Call a police ambulance," he said, turning to me. I ran to a nearby phone booth and called. Then we left and walked quickly to the bus station. I looked at Socrates. There were faint tears in his eyes, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked pale and very tired. We spoke little on the bus ride home,